Okay. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 10, Divisions of the Creation. You have to read text number 10 today, I think. So we are discussing the creation here. In the previous verse, two couple of verses, we were talking about how the Supreme Lord is a Sarga. He is the primary creator, and Lord Brahma is a secondary creator, Visarga. Uh, and the Supreme Lord actually created 14 planetary systems, the upper planetary systems, middle planetary systems, and lower planetary systems. And we'll read now text number 10. Vidura uvacha yathatha bahurupasya harer adbhuta karmanaha kalakyam lakshanam brahman yatha varnaya naha prabho. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my Lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. Purport. The complete universe is a manifestation of varieties of entities beginning from the atoms up to gigantic universe itself, and all is under the control of the Supreme Lord in his form of Kala or eternal time. The controlling time has different dimensions in relation to particular physical embodiments. There is a time for atomic dissolution and a time for the universal dissolution. There is a time for annihilation of the body of the human being, and there is a time for the annihilation of the universal body. Also, growth, development, and resultant actions all depend on the time factor. Vidura wanted to know in detail the different physical manifestations and their times of annihilation. So here, specifically in this verse, is talking about eternal time. In Krishna Bhagavad Gita, he already told that Aham Kalosmi. So time I am. So I am the destroyer of all these three worlds. So therefore, uh, I am the time. And yeah, Vidura is actually inquiring the characteristics of the time. Actually, time is actually absent in the spiritual realm. There is no time exists in the spiritual world. But whereas here in the material world, so we have time because everything has a beginning and everything has an ending. So therefore, the concept of time is there in this material realm. So here Prabhupada writes, there is a time for annihilation of the body. So this body has a beginning and this body has an ending. Similarly, the material universe, also the universal body has also the beginning and it also has an end. All dependents on all they all depend on the time factor. So therefore, Vidura wanted to know the detailed different physical manifestations and their annihilations. So we'll see next verse. Text number 11. Maitreya Uvacha Guna गुणव्यातिकराकारो निर्विशेषो प्रतिष्ठितः पुरुषास्तद् उपादानम् आत्मानां लीलया सृजत्. Translation. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless, and it works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. Purport. The impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestation as the instrument of the Supreme Lord. It is the ingredient of assistance offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends, and it is a time only which can keep a record of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material manifestation. This time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. The time factor is also explained by modern men in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated therein God, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. So, metaphysically, time is distinguished as absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Factually, however, time has nothing to do with relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of facility offered by time. Time is the basic measurement of the activity of our senses by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. Chanakya Pandita says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars, and therefore, even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as the greatest loss in life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments objective realities in themselves, but they are dependent on particular experiences. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord Himself. And that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation. Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this conclusion as follows. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. I think in this mm, time is actually primordial source of interactions of three modes of material nature. And Prabhupada also writes here the time is actually impersonal representation of the Supreme Lord, is a manifestation of the Lord. So astronomically, Kala, uh, they separated this material manifestation by mixing with modes of material nature. So I think Prabhupada also writes here, the moment that will last is lost forever. Even on the material calculations, also the value of time is explained so nicely. So in and finally, Prabhupada also says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti. So this Prakriti, whatever is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord in the time. Next verse. Text number 12. Vishwam vai brahma tanmatram samstitam Vishnu mayaya Ishwarena parichinnam kalena avyakta murtina. Translation. This cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kala, which is the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of same material energy of Vishnu. As stated previously by Narada before Vyasadeva, uh, idam hi vishwam bhagavan ivetaraha. This manifested world is the self same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of its being separated from the Lord by means of Kala. It is something like the tape recorded voice of a person who is now separated from the voice. As the tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate by means of Kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits his impersonal feature so much adored by impersonalist philosophers. Text number 13. Yetendrinam tadagre cha paschadapi etadidrasham. Translation. This cosmic manifestation as it is now, it was the same in the past and it will continue in the same way in the future. Purport. There is a systematic schedule for the perpetual manifestation, maintenance and annihilation of the material world. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.8, Bhutagramam imam Krishnam avasham prakritir vasat. As it is created now and as it will be destroyed later on, so also it existed in the past and again it will be created, maintained and destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual and eternal and cannot be stated to be false. The manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it is not false as claimed by Mayavadi philosophers. So this cosmic manifestation, it was there before, it was existing in the before, and it will continue to exist in the same way in the future also. So therefore, that is why the time is eternal. So as Mayavadi philosophers says that Brahma Satyam Jagat Midya, it is not that this Jagat was Midya, but at the same time it is not eternal. So therefore it is temporary. So that is how we perceive this. No, it's not like it's Mithya. And the nature of time is also cyclic. So whatever the today time, that 3.20, tomorrow also it will be the same time. So therefore, in that sense, time is actually cyclic in nature. Question number 14. Sargo nava vidhastasya prakruto vaikrita tuyaha kala dravya gunairasya trividha pratishanukramaha. Translation. There are 9 different kinds of creations beside the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements and the quality of one's work. Let me read again this translation. There are 9 different kinds of creations besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the material modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time. So here it's saying that there are 9 different kinds of creation and there are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time. The material elements and the quality of one's work. I think in the further verses, it was explained how the creation of elements happens. So we'll discuss one by one. So purport. The scheduled creations and annihilations takes place in terms of the supreme will. There are other creations due to the interactions of material elements which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. Later, these will be more explicitly explained. At present, only preliminary information is given. The 3 kinds of annihilations are due to the scheduled time of annihilation of the entire universe, due to a fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananta, and due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. I think here Sarga means actually the creation. Here it was talked about 2 different here. Prakruto means actually primary creation, and Vaikruta means that the secondary creation. So the first were actually creation. Actually here it tells 9 different kinds of creations. and three different kinds of annihilations. One is actually material elements and the quality of one's work. So we will, I think these were further described in the next verses. Text number 15. Adyastu mahatat sargo guna vaishyamanatmanaha dvitiyastva at ahamo yatra dravya jnana kriyodayaha. Translation. Of the nine creations, the first one is the creation of Mahat Tattva, or the sum total of the material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities rise. The purport. The first emanation from the Supreme Lord for material creation is called the Mahat Tattva. The interaction of the material modes is the cause of false identification, or the sense that the living entity's living being is made of material elements. This false ego is the cause of identifying the body and mind with the soul proper. Material resources and the capacity and the knowledge to work are all generated in the second term of creation. After the Mahat Tattva, Jnana indicates the senses which are sources of knowledge and their controlling deities. Work entails the working organs and their controlling deities. All these are generated in the second creation. So here in the translation, it is saying that out of the nine creations, the first one is actually the creation of Mahatattva. Mahatattva is actually sum of the total material ingredients in unmanifested form. So that was actually wherein the modes of material nature interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. Then the material creation starts. So here, I think the Mahatattva this Mahatattva again transforms into the false ego, because of time, the false ego gives rise to all these 23 elements because of time, because interaction with the time. Um, okay, text number 15. So here it said Dravya Jnana Kriyodaya. So the first creation, actually there's Mahat Tattva because of interaction of three modes explained. And the second, the false ego, and false ego further divided into Dravya, Jnana, and Kriya. So this Dravya means five material elements, five gross elements, and this Jnana means five knowledge acquiring senses, and then Kriya means five karmendriyas. So this from Mahatattva, from the false ego, all these three elements are created. And text number 16. Bhuta sarga sthityastu tanmatro dravya saktiman Chaturdha yendriya sargo yastu jnana kriyatmakaha. Translation. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation, and from these the elements are generated. The fourth creation is the creation of knowledge and working capacity. So that as we talked about before, so the first one is actually Mahatattva, and the second one is actually false ego, and now here the third one is actually the sense perceptions are created, and then this the fourth creation is actually the jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. And then 17. Vaikariko deva sarga panchamo yan mahayan manaha Sastastu tamasha sargo yastva abhuddhikata prabho. Translation. The fifth creation is that of the controlling deities by the interaction of modes of goodness, of which the mind is the sum total. The sixth creation is the ignorant darkness of the living entity by which the master acts as a fool. The demigods in the higher planets are called devas because they are all devotees of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Bhaktas Mrito Daiva Asuras Tad Viprayaha. All the devotees of Lord Vishnu are devas or demigods, whereas all others are asuras. That is the division of the devas and the asuras. Devas are situated in the mode of goodness of material nature, whereas the asuras are situated in the modes of passion or ignorance. The demigods or controlling deities are entrusted with departmental management of the all the different functions of the material world. For example, one of our sense organs, the eye, is controlled by light. Light is distributed by the sun rays, and their controlling deity is the sun. Similarly, the mind is controlled by the moon. All other senses, both for working and for acquiring knowledge, are controlled by different demigods. The demigods are assistants of the Lord in the management of material affairs. After the creation of demigods, all entities are covered by darkness of ignorance. Each and every living being in the material world is conditioned by his mentality of lording it over material resources of material nature. Although a living entity is the master of the material world, he is conditioned by ignorance, by the false impression of being the proprietor of material things. The energy of the Lord, called avidya, is the bewildering factor of the conditioned souls. The material nature is called avidya or ignorance, but to the devotees of the Lord engaged in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya or pure knowledge. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in her real feature. The material nature therefore appears to function in three phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorant, and as knowledge. As disclosed in the previous verse, in the fourth creation of power of knowledge is also created. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of avidya, function of material nature, they are made fools, and thus they are unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. By the influence of darkness, the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord and is overwhelmed by attachment, hatred, pride, ignorant and false identification, the five kinds of illusion that cause material bondage. Text number 18. Sadime prakruta sarga vaikrutan api me shrunu rajo rajo bhajo bhagavato liliyam harimedasha. All the above are natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations made by Brahma, who is an incarnation of mode of passion and who, in the matter of creation, has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead. Now, so far we saw how the first part of the material creation, how the material gross elements, how these jnanendriyas and karmendriyas and sense objects were created. Now he's explaining here the external energy of the Lord, what Brahma creates here now. Here it said Hari Medasha, that means the Brahma also has like that of the brain, that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So therefore he has the ability to create further. Text number 19. सप्तमो मुख्या सर्गस्तु तद्विधास्तातु संशयः वनस्पति ओषधिलता त्वाक्षरा विरुद्धो द्रुमः. Translation. The seventh creation is that of the immovable living entities, which are six kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers, pipe plants, creepers which have no support, and trees with flowers and fruits. So these are different kinds of trees. Is actually seventh creation of the immovable living entities by Lord Brahma. Next, number 20. All the immovable Usarotsastamapraya anta sparsha viseshinaha. Translation. All the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upwards. They are almost unconscious but have feelings of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. So
So we
this,
can stop here.
okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
So please go ahead, share if you have anything. And then since we finished chapter 9, I just want to quickly summarize what we have been doing so far.
Okay, Prabhu. I
So the
think
devotee will...
in this chapter actually we are talking about how the creation is further is explained here, like we talked about this chapter time. uh, the time is more in detail explained in the 11th chapter, but here how the Lord Supreme Lord actually from Mahat Tattva by interacting with three modes of material nature, uh, Pradhan, yeah, sorry, the Pradhan, how the Pradhan by interacting with modes of material nature, and from Pradhan comes out from the Lord's body, and how it transforms into Mahatattva, and from Mahatattva, how the false ego is generated, and because of time, the false ego gives rise to all the material elements, 23 elements, by interacting with time, by activation of material time, how creation happened, like. Talked about the first creation, the Mahatattva, and the second false ego, and then third how five gross elements and etc. further explained, and fourth, fifth creation like controlling demigods in the modes of material nature, and then sixth actually in avidya, ignorance acts as a fool, and then prakriti that ends actually primary creation, and then how the Lord Brahma. He created all the immovable living entities like different kinds of plants, flower species. Um, so like that, it was explained until here. So I think that's what I understand from here, Prabhu. So maybe you can continue. Thank you. I'll stop my sharing, Prabhu, here for you to see.
Okay, okay, Prabhu. Let me know if you are seeing the screen.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm seeing.
Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavad Pranams. So I just want to quickly summarize where we are so that we can track it as we are going along. So this canto third, is basically canto of, who can tell what is this canto about? What is the dominant topic in this canto?
Creation.
Sarga and Visarga, okay?
Mhm.
Primary and secondary creation of this universe is basically mentioned in this section, in this canto. And from chapter 5th, basically Vidura is now talking to Maitreya Muni. So we are still basically hearing the discussion of Vidura and Maitreya Muni. So in chapter 5th, the process of creation is basically mentioned, that how from Karnodakshai Vishnu all the element comes. And then in chapter 6, from Karnodakshai Vishnu, there are three Vishnu who comes and what are their functions and how they basically take care of the entire material world. So Karnodakshai Vishnu is called Mahavishnu, and then Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is Virat Rupa, and Shivodakshai Vishnu, who is basically Paramatma. And then Virat Rupa, which is basically Garbhodakshai Vishnu, is compared with this material world. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking that this Virat Rupa is basically imaginary form for people who are not intelligent, for them to understand, because they can understand only in terms of relativity. So Krishna is basically you know uh, bigger than the biggest one and is smaller than the smallest one. So if they want to understand that in terms of relativity, then the form of the Krishna can be also understood in that way. And then after that, uh, Vidura continues, asking that what are, basically Ishwara, what are the Jiva, if the Jiva has Paramatma in their heart, then why still they are suffering? And then Maitreya Muni is saying they are suffering because they are not identifying themselves who they are. So misidentification is the root cause of the suffering. And then what is the solution for that? Solution for that is that they have to basically engage themselves into the bhakti. Then all of that part is discussed in chapter 7. And then there, further discussion between Vidura and Maitreya Muni, which is, basically the rest part of the chapter 7. And then in chapter 8, what's the basically role of the Brahma? Maitreya is sharing that how Brahma, Lord Brahma is basically who is a secondary creator, person who creates Visarga, is coming out of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and then how long he lasts and what are the different, basically time snap and everything that happens in his lifetime. And then after that, we basically finish chapter 9. And in that chapter 9, now Brahma has done the tapasya, all of you have read, and after that he's basically seeing Lord Vishnu, and when he's seeing Lord Vishnu, then he is offering his prayers. So in that section there are so many beautiful points mentioned in chapter 9. So verse number 1 to 5 basically talks about Lord's supreme form. And Lord's supreme form is the object of all the knowledge. So if there is one thing, then one has to know, that is to know about the form of the Lord. And then Supreme Lord is the origin of all other forms. Supreme Lord is a person. That's very important point to be noted. That's Brahma. Lord Brahma is saying that Lord is a person. And he has most auspicious heart, and he dwells in the heart of a devotee. And then in further section from verse number 6 to 10, he is asking that why the conditioned souls are suffering. And then again, it's being reconfirmed that misidentification is the cause of anxiety. Unfortunate people do not hear. They would not hear the pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The people who are miserable jiva are pitiable. They are really, really the candidate of compassion and mercy. And then verse number 9 talks that bodily identification is the cause of binding. The living beings are bound by this false identification of I and mine. And then the non-devotees, doesn't matter how much they try, they are frustrated. They are not happy in this material world. Then further, Lord is talking about devotees. And then he says, Lord Brahma is saying that pure devotee, very powerful point, pure devotee dwells in the heart who see him through their ear. So the first seeing of the Supreme Lord, we have not seen through our eyes, but now we are hearing that Lord form has this feature, that feature, all the beautiful picture of the Supreme Lord we are hearing. So in that verse number 11, Lord Brahma is saying that the devotee first sees Lord through their ears. And then it talks about that Lord is not satisfied with demigod. Why? Because they have material desire. For non-devotee, Lord has no time. So Supreme Lord is only available for those soul who are devotee. And then verse number 13 talks, people who offer their results will become pure gradually. So that's the assurance coming from Lord Burma, who is saying that the people or soul who are engaged in the process of bhakti, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, that soul will become pure. And then further from verse number 14 to 19, Lord Burma is basically paying his obeisances, and he's paying obeisances to the Lord effulgence, to the Brahman form. Then he's paying obeisances to the holy name, merciful. He's saying that the holy name of the Lord is very, very merciful. And then cosmic, tree, the desired tree, and then the time factor. So we just finished what are the different, feature of the time. So when I will summarize chapter 10, I'll tell you that just Prabhu finished from verse number I think 9 to, let me see how many, how many verses was that? Yeah, verse number 11 to 13. So the feature of the time is mentioned. So when we go to that chapter and when we summarize that chapter, we'll see what are the feature of the time. And then also Lord Brahma is praying that Lord has various transcendental form. And then he's also meditating on the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And the last section, not last section, from verse number 22 to 25, he is requesting Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's saying that, Lord, please empower me to create. This is very powerful. Lord Brahma asking that, please empower me to create. And then he's saying in verse number 23, protect me from false ego. And then he continues praying and he says that, save me from deviation, save me from deviation. And you know what that deviation mean. Deviation means all of that thing that we just read, plus also keep me on the righteous duty, keep me in your devotional service, or keep me engaged in your devotional service. And then further in uh, verse number 29 to 43, the Supreme Lord is replying to Lord Brahma. And this is very powerful. Very, very strong statements are made here. That is why I thought that it's nice to summarize that chapter. So you will see how Lord is personally, responding the prayers of Lord Brahma. And he's saying, verse number 29, do not be anxious. Okay, so for devotee who have taken the process of bhakti, for them there is nothing for the anxiety. Attain mercy, then he is telling the process. Attain mercy by penance and perseverance. Transcendental vision, and then he's talking about what is the transcendental vision of an absorbed devotee, a devotee who is engaged 24 hours in devotional service, although they are living in this material world, but they are always looking upward at the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then stages of attaining the Supreme Lord is mentioned. And then in verse number 34, Lord is saying that by engaging into the process of bhakti, my mercy will increase. So if you are attending, if you are into the process of devotional service, slowly and slowly, my mercy will basically increase on you. And then this guna, especially this 35 verse says that raja guna will not bind. So the creation, especially the jiva, has dominant guna, which is raja guna. Demigods have sato guna. So he's saying that the dominant guna that the jiva have, if the jivas are engaged in devotional service, then that mode of passion will not bind them. And then he's further saying that if you understand me, or you will understand me, since you know my form as a transcendental. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also saying that the murha would never know me. So the one who approach Krishna in his personal form, they are the candidates who can finally or ultimately will understand who the God is. And then he's saying in verse number 37 that I manifested within you when you are searching. Another beautiful statement. So if you are searching for Supreme Personality of Godhead, we just read in the previous segment, Krishna is saying, the Vishnu is saying, that I do not have time for the people who are not the devotee. And I'm not very happy with the demigod. So we go and worship the demigod and we go and ask them our material desires. But Krishna is saying here that I'm not happy with them because they are too much engaged into the material activity. And I also do not have time for the people who are not taking the process of devotional service. But I manifest for those who are searching for me. And then in verse number 38, he's saying that by my causeless mercy, you have offered prayer. So that's another beautiful point. The opportunity that we all have got to do bhakti, whatever extent of bhakti we have developed, wherever we are and however we have started, that is form of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And here that is confirmed by Lord himself to Lord Brahma. And then verse number 39 talks about, I am very pleased by your prayers. So Lord is saying to Lord Brahma that, I'm very, very pleased. And since I'm very pleased to you, all of your desire will be fulfilled. And then the last segment of that section, last 3 verses of that section talks about, Lord is saying that I'm the ultimate goal for all the satisfaction. So if somebody is looking for satisfaction, he has to work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The ultimate goal is to invoke my satisfaction. So our satisfaction is basically lying with the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then verse number 42 talks about, I am the ultimate dearest object. I mean, how clear than this, anything can go. Clearly, Krishna is saying that I am the ultimate dearest object or dearmost object. I mean, there are many objects that we could have, our short or long-term goal. But here, Lord himself is saying that I am the ultimate dearest object. And then verse number 43 is talking about follow my instructions. So I told you all of that, and please follow my instructions. So I really like that chapter, the way the chapter is basically in a very rhythmic way, and each and every verse, how it's basically giving a powerful message for cultivating devotees like ourselves to really meditate on that chapter and understand that some of these things that we hear here and there, either through Srila Prabhupada class or through classes of many devotees. In fact, all of that things, if you really go systematically, you'll find that either one place or another place, Supreme Personality of Godhead is personally telling to his devotees. So that was very beautiful chapter that we just finished. And then we started next chapter. And as we go along, if I get some time, I can also summarize the next chapter. Next chapter is a very, very technical chapter, and a lot of beautiful, statements are made there. So maybe once we finish that chapter, then I can summarize that. So thank you so much. I just want to basically finish right here, and then we'll get into the Damodastam prayer. I know it was too quick, but hope it made some sense to all of you.
Prabhu, thanks for the wonderful summary, Prabhu.
Yeah, it was a little quick, but I have to follow the guidelines.
I get a nice overview of the chapter 9. Thank you. I missed a few classes, so it is even more useful for me.
Thank you. Mataji, are you there? Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Shivangi Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So you can chant Damodar-Astakam. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everybody. Hari Bol.
Namami Shwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Namami Shwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashodabhiyolukhalabdhavamanam Paramrishtamatyantatodritagopya Yashodabhiyolukhalabdhavamanam Paramrishtamatyantatodritagopya रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं मृजन्तम् करम्बोजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रम् रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं मृजन्तम् करम्बोजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्रिरेखान्तकण्ठा सितग्रैवदामोदरं भक्तिपदम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्रिरेखान्तकण्ठा सितग्रैवदामोदरं भक्तिपदम् इति दृक्ष्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् इति दृक्ष्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषितज्ञेषु भक्तर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे तदीयेषितज्ञेषु भक्तर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं शतावृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षवदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेषदपीह वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षवदिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेषदपीह इदं ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्य वीरस्तं किमन्ये इदं ते वपुर्नाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्य वीरस्तं किमन्ये इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलैर्वृतं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या इदं ते मुखाम्भोजम् अत्यन्तनीलैर्वृतं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या मुहुशुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्य विरास्तमलं लक्षलाभे मुहुशुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तधरं मे मनस्य विरास्तमलं लक्षलाभे नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभु दुःख जालभिमग्नम् नमो देव दामोदर अनंत विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभु दुःख जालभिमग्नम् कृपा दृष्टि वृष्याति दिनं बतानो गृहाणि क्षमामज्ञं मे दक्षिदृश्या कृपा दृष्टि वृष्याति दिनं बतानो गृहाणि क्षमामज्ञं मे दक्षिदृश्या कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तैव यद्वा त्वयामोचितो भक्तिभाजो कृतौ च कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तैव यद्वा त्वयामोचितो भक्तिभाजो कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकं मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मे स्थिदामुदरेह तथा प्रेम
kame prayacha. Namo Khegraho me sti damodari ha.
Namaste Sudamne Spuradipidamne Tadiyodarayata Vishwasya Damne. Namaste Sudamne Spuradipidamne Tadiyodarayata Vishwasya Damne. Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tobhyam.
Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. जय श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So we can read the translation. Person from each family without multiplication. So please, so that at least we can have more families who can read. Yes, please continue.
To the Supreme Controller who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances.
Yes, please read. Continue reading. Hare Krishna.
Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayana in Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure devotion to
Pure loving
pure loving devotion. To To the Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times.
Nice. Okay, next
Oh,
one.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kind of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Bhagavatham. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart.
O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of plants are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind.
Thank you. Okay.
O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me, uplift me, and protect me with your nectarian vision. Hare Krishna.
O Lord Damodara, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva, and Nalakuvera, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in this same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence.
O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope, I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Sri Sri Radha Bhagavan
की जय 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 श्री 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 राधा श्याम सुंदर भगवान की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरिधारी भगवान की जय जगन्नाथ बाल सुभद्रा महारानी की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai ho Shri Guru and Gauranga ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai. Assembled Bhakti Vrindi ki jai. Nitai Gaur Prem Nandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Oh, one more thing, just quickly. So tomorrow is disappearance day of His Divine Grace Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we are going to send the. I have to still work on that. So I'm going to send the flyer maybe for tomorrow announcement. And from 6:30 tomorrow, I think we should start gathering. From 6:30 to 7:30, we are going to read Prabhupada Lilamrita. So we'll just pick up one of the chapter, and 1 hour we'll recite Prabhupada Lilamrita. So the announcement will be sent. I haven't started working on that, but likely I should be working on that, tonight. And then tomorrow from 6:30 to 7:30, we'll have basically recitation of Lilamrita. And then 7:30 to 8 o'clock, as usual, we'll have Damodar Ashtakam. So thank you. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hari Hari Dandavat. Hare Krishna.
Oh, I want to say.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. Oh, I have to stop sharing. Hare Krishna Ravi Prabhu. Are you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I'll end the call.
Prabhu, so can you make one flyer? You want me to make the flyer?
Sorry, sir. 1 minute, Prabhu. 1 minute. 1 minute. Let me stop the live stream.
Yeah, you can stop the YouTube live. Or maybe.
Where is the option? I don't see option here.
Okay, we can talk later then. Hari Bol.
Okay.